Okay, something a little different today. We're working on this old mill building here. It's right on the road, and as you can see, this corner got blown off. Um, some young person in the car hit it last year, and so I'm here to put this all back together. I don't know when this was built. I think it was maybe just right around 1900, maybe a little before. It's built with it's got lime mortar, so it was built with a quick lime mortar, and you can see that there's actually like there's a lot of aggregate in this stuff, and this mortar is it's pretty soft, but it's still pretty good in here. But these joints are a little bigger than normal for as far as quicklime. When you stand back, it doesn't look so bad because these ones are all raked back. The mortar on the front's kind of gone. But these brick do have some variation to them, and they didn't really lay them pin tight, So I'm actually not doing any of this repointing. I'm sure they're going to come out and ask me to do it, but I'm just here to stitch this in. So I got to tooth this brickwork. You can see that someone's already repointed the base here with some kind of cementitious mix. That's pretty hard Portland. You can see that the brick is starting to peel. See that brick starts to peel, right? It's because water's coming through the brick now. And then you get up here where it was lime mortar, you don't see any of that same peeling really going on because the water can drain through that. But down here, the mortar might get eroded, but you can always kind of point it back in. But the second you put some of this Portland mortar down here, this brick is just starting to flake, because the water's now forced to come through the brick. It doesn't want to come through the brick, it wants to come through the mortar. Or look at this old Haida key. They hid it behind the corner here, and I don't know what the hell this is for, but what in the world? That's kind of cool. I actually don't know what this whole fancy setup is for, just to hold the chain. Kind of cool. What's it say? Dexter Corporation, D-Tex. Oh no, not Dexter. God, D-Tex, Watchman Station. It's pretty cool. I don't really know how many courses of brick we are thick here, but I know that this outer layer, so we got 1, 2, and I can see another one in there, 3, and so I think. Well, I know that this wall here has got to be at least 4 brick thick, but I think it actually is even more than that. I've heard that someone told me that this building is like 14 courses thick at the base, and then every floor it kind of loses one more course, or has one less course. But you can see it's got all this really nice dental work. It's got a really cool look to it. You don't really see work like this anymore. And the building's old and it's been neglected, and they got trees growing out of the building, and yeah, so that's the elevator shaft. And on the opposite side of it, it's got to be close to 20 years ago. I had to remove a big section of that wall and pull trees out of it and redo some of the dental work. And I've worked all around this building, and they actually have me. The shingles blow off up there all the time, so they asked me to go put some shingles back on. So I think they have some more of that for me to do here too. But yeah, I've done a lot of repointing and stuff and re-bricking around the building. The opposite side, I did. They had a whole hydromobile set up for me, and we did pointing and dental work, and And then there's another tower on the other side that we did the roof on and did the dental work around the top. So yeah, this one's a much easier job, a little smaller on the ground. I gotta go around here and look for some extra brick because some of these ones got broken. So I think they got a pile somewhere that might match. See remnants of the car still here. So you can see that this mortar is actually, it's fine, but it's got some bigger aggregates in it too. So I've mixed my quicklime mortar already, and I've mixed it with a little bit more grit than the last job where I was just trying to use fine stuff so I could get it pin tight. Because these mortar joints are going to be thicker, but even still, when you look, it actually doesn't look like it's thicker because of the way it's jointed up. If these had a round joint on them, it would look like they were a lot fatter. The nice part about working on stuff like this that was built properly back in the day is everything's nice and tied together. So I have these brick that are turned back on both sides that interlock everything, and then also inside the walls they have these brick that are going header style that way, that lock this course with the outer course and then a little over the other course. So how they did that is they would stick these brick out like this, and then they would put this facade piece over it. That piece obviously broke off, but that would have been a full brick, but the back of it was split off to kind of go in front of that header course there. So everything is, they took their time and everything's locked together tight. So yeah, now I really I'm probably gonna struggle to get all these brick out of here, but I'm gonna try to cut each individual one out so I can stick brick back in and tie everything back in just how it was originally. So it will be a little time consuming, but at least it's not a huge area to do, just working on this small area here. All right, fellas, check this out. Truck is running, got power. There's no outlets around here, so just gotta able to run it off the generator in my truck. And for the first time in a long time, I broke out this piece of junk. This is the most hated tool I've ever bought. It's never ever once paid for itself. These blades are impossible. I don't know if you see the teeth missing, but these have like minimal use, and the teeth are already ground pretty much to nothing. But I hate this tool, and I'm hoping that for once in its life that this thing will actually just pay for itself. I've never used it and actually liked it, not once. But this mortar's pretty soft, and I gotta try to take out these header style brick here. Well, these ones turn and go into the building, right? So they're at least 4 inches deep. So I'm going to try to cut and see how this thing will do. And I'm praying. I paid $1,100 for this tool, so it makes it I guess one of the most expensive power tools I've ever bought. I don't even think my gas saw costs as much as this, and that gas saw has done, God, countless jobs, and it's been so valuable. Yeah, this is my most hated tool. It's just worthless. This thing, you can't make money with this thing. It has never even recuperated the cost it cost me to buy it. And if it will just do this one job, I suppose then I'll be happy with it and I can just get rid of it or something. I actually prefer to use this almost every time when I need to do something like this, because this actually works and it does multiple things. If the blades were a little longer and a little better, like if they made some real long blades for it, it'd be pretty good. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a go and see if this thing will even do anything for me. I'm hoping, but like every job, I'll probably just throw it back in my bag and throw it back in the shop to collect dust. All right, I'm not gonna lie, this thing had one last chance to be awesome, and it delivered. This was the one time in that thing's life where it actually saved me money and time and actually worked really well. This mortar is just soft enough for it to just chew right through, and it goes deep enough. I was able to tooth these brick right out. So maybe it's worth just saving and keeping around just for mill buildings like this, because you know it's hard to notch those brick out otherwise. Without you know, without breaking a bunch of stuff around it. So yeah, it actually did really well, and I cleaned up all these ones as well. So it'll probably just stay at my shop for most of its life and do nothing, and then maybe a couple more jobs like this and it will have paid for itself. So I'm just out here next to this mill building, looking over the edge to see if there's any spare brick here. There used to be a brick building that they ripped down. It was like right around here. I was hoping to scavenge a couple extra brick for my project over there, but I'm not having any luck. I was just looking at this old stone bridge. I just think it's super cool. That's the original bridge that came through here, and just a few years back they put the steel bridge over the top of it, and so this one doesn't support anymore, but it's still here and it's still really cool. Okay, so I've been I keep little stockpiles of brick around my yard, because just in case I'm on a project and we can't get any decent brick to match. So I do save some of these brick that I've pulled off of jobs over the years. You know, mainly if I just pull them out and they're clean or easy to clean. Sometimes I have my kids clean them up so I can save them. But so this is the brick from the mill building that I'm working on, and I'm trying to find a match, and you can see that that is actually a really good match. So yeah, luckily I have not these ones, because these ones are all fat. These ones are fat. They kind of have that old look, but these ones are like perfect size, perfect color, everything. So I don't think I'm gonna get much better than this. The building, that mill building, they were supposed to have brick for me, but the guy, they can't find any brick. So luckily I have these brick, and they look like they're gonna be a good match. I probably only need like 30 of them. Okay, so I'm just getting back here. Got my pile of brick going. Everything should match pretty good. And now I'm just working on the mortar. I mixed this lime mortar up, I don't know, a week or so ago, but you can see, I don't know if you can see compared to the mortar joints how white this is. And I know that this stuff dries like a pretty brilliant white. So what I'm gonna try to do is get that yellowish look. It's not a pure white, it's like a yellowish kind of hue to it. So and of course when you stand back it doesn't look yellow, but maybe it's a buff color or something. Anyhow, I got this spec mix dye here, and I'm gonna try it. This stuff is where's the color? Antique white. Let me see. Antique white, there you go. So it's gonna make this mix a little bit yellow. I've never done this before. Curious to see how it turns out. It might match really well, I don't know. If I don't like it, and I lay brick with it, I can just, you know, I'll rake back the mortar joints and try it with a different pigment or something, or not as much pigment, or maybe a little bit more. I'm not really worried about messing it up. Hopefully it matches good first try, but we'll see. So this is enough to mix with one bag of spec mix, so like 80-pound bag of white spec mix mortar, and so I've got probably half of that amount in this bucket. So I probably could put less of this pigment than needed. We'll just see how it does. Okay, so I measured it out perfectly. Just had an old container in my truck, keep screws and stuff in it, but I've got them both measured to half, so I'm going to start with half and see how bad it actually is. I think it's going to be crazy, but we'll see. This stuff does lighten up brilliant white, so probably after time it's not going to be, it might seem extreme at first, but over time it might be like still a whiter color. We'll give it a mix and see what happens. I feel like it's actually not bad. I think this stuff is gonna lighten up a little bit. It might match pretty good over time. So that was with half the amount. But it's like when you don't put it next to the mortar, when you don't put it next to the dried stuff on the building, and you put it next to some white stuff, like this is just leftover lime putty mortar on here. I'm sorry. This is just leftover quicklime mortar, and you can see how brilliant white the quicklime is by itself. So this stuff actually looks brown next to it, but you wouldn't think it was going to match until you lift it up here and have a look, and it's like it actually matches pretty decent. Well, when you stand back and look at it, it actually that mortar actually it matches pretty good already. Minus some of the white that you see in the background, but that lower mortar kind of matches that stuff over there. Not the gray stuff at the top. Someone's been up there. It looks gross, but yeah, I think it's gonna be good. All right, so I'm just getting ready to joint for the day. I'm gonna head out early, finish up tomorrow. I did get a start on laying the brick, but so now I'm just working on how the joint's gonna work out. So you can see over here, it's pretty much, I can see the whole edge of the brick all the way around, and then it's got this line in it, right? They do that to kind of like trick your eye into thinking the joints are smaller than they really are. And so some people might call that a penny struck joint, where you just take your level and put it up there and describe the joint in. So I'm gonna do that. You can see these joints are, that it's kind of wore off here, but some of the joints are fatter just because of how the brick are. These brick are not. I mean, they're pretty distorted. So you get fat joints and skinny joints, and so that kind of tricks your eye into thinking they're a little skinnier. Yeah, so I'm just getting it flush right now. I make sure all the joints are full, and then I'm getting it flush with this this brass wire brush. So just kind of cleaning up like that to make sure I don't leave anything on the brick. Obviously, it's hard to videotape this, especially when I'm not left-handed and I'm doing it left-handed. But yeah, I'll just clean up the brick like that, and then I will scribe those penny struck joints into there, and I'll do that with my level, and I'll just hold my level up there on the joint. It'll be that way, like that, and I'll use my flat joiner, and I'll use just the edge of it to just imprint those lines in there. Okay, had an early day yesterday, and I was only able to get a little bit in, but this is how I finished off. You can see that I was able to scribe some of those joints in. I just did it lightly, so it wasn't too overpowering. The stuff that you see on the other walls has been there for a while, so it's kind of it's not as noticeable. But yeah, so it actually blends pretty good. I still like the color of the dye. I think it's going to lighten up a little bit more and probably be perfect. Obviously there's a bit of haze on the brick, so I'll have to clean that off. And the brick are going to be a little bit splotchy. They're not going to be like a consistent color, and this just happens with restoration work. Sometimes you get the darker ones and the redder ones, and some that are a bit more orange. They just haven't over time, those ones kind of blend together, and the darker ones might be in a different section. But also these brick, some of them came from my house, so that the color doesn't match 100%. So yeah, see how this is all the same kind of reddish orange color. And then some of these ones are going to be a little darker. So it's not going to match perfect, but it'll be pretty close. It's all laid in now. Just gotta I'll join it up, clean up these bricks, see how they look. I might try to do some coloring on some of the brick because they're a little darker, but we'll just see how it looks after I clean it up. Okay, so I decided I'm going to clean this up with a little bit of color, so I'm just going to show you how I mix up a little bit of color to kind of clean everything up and make it look, try to make it look as much like the rest of the brickwork as I can. So basically it goes like this. I have a little container. I'm going to prop the little container up, and I don't usually run my saw one-handed, so this is about what it looks like. Okay, you get a little dust. You dump a little acrylic bonding agent in there. You mix it up a bit. And then hopefully you have something that kind of matches the brick color. Of course, it never really wants to match. It never looks like it matches in the cup, but once you put it on, you know, it'll look pretty good. And now I'm just gonna get a little piece of sponge here, and I'm gonna just, you know, every time I'm gonna sponge it on, I'll mix it up and make sure I get all that sediment mixed up. And you just dip the sponge here. Doesn't even take much. And I will do, I don't know, this one here. Just gonna go around it. And do your best just to not hit the mortar joints. Something like that. And we'll let that dry and see how it looks. One of the difficult things with doing something like this is where to stop, you know. Obviously this whole building has sections that need to be repointed. All this stuff is super deep. This is just because it's on the roadside, I think, but I'm only here to fix the brick, so you got to stop somewhere. I did dye it, and I think it looks a lot better right now. I maybe could do it one more time. I'm gonna let this dry up and I'll see how it looks in a couple days, but I may coat that brick with some dye one more time, just to darken it up a bit. But all in all, I think it actually looks pretty good. Okay, so this is the back side of the mill building that we're working on. So the job we just did is up front by the road. Over the years, I've done a lot of work on this building. The last thing I did here was that on top of this, I guess the tower there, that's the tower to the stairwell. I had to repair some of the top and the corbels. You can see that the mortar that I used up there was a lot lighter in color, so I wasn't really happy with the mortar that I did use up there. It's hard to notice because it's so high up, but when I zoom in you can see it. And yeah, that mortar was a lot lighter, so I wasn't really happy with it. I don't think anybody can really see it up there. So the bottom to the edge of the roof is 104 feet, and when I was working up there, I dropped 2 Stanley Fat Max tape measures off of that thing because I was wearing a safety harness for once, and my harness kept ripping the tape out of my pocket when I would bend over. So yeah, destroyed 2 Stanleys, and then I ended up just using my old trusty Milwaukee the rest of the time. But yeah, so I ended up doing, you know, the corbels up there and facing in fixing the masonry around the edge, and then I ended up putting a new roof on that. The roofers in this area, one of them showed up to do it, and I don't think they realized how tall it was, and they ended up just packing up and leaving. So I was already up there to do it, to do the masonry work, so I just told them I'd do the roof. And I ended up getting a 125-foot lift to, get me to the top here. And it might not look that tall from here, but it is. It's 104 feet to the very edge of the roof. So, yeah. So that was the last project I did here. But I've done pointing on the backs on the other side. I did this section here probably on this is the elevator shaft, and I did this section of brickwork probably close to 20 years ago. I was just getting started in my business, and that was really sketchy because I had built scaffolding on a roof down lower that was all rotted out. Yeah, so this building has a big problem with the roof and the overhang of the, on the lower edge of the roof. To get the water and keep the water away from that top edge of brickwork. It's never had enough of a drip edge to kind of protect the brickwork. So especially in this, sorry, I'm wandering, especially in this corner here, because you can see it's all stained up and the water runs down it and it builds big icicles. So that's why I had to, stitch in all that brickwork there. Anyhow, the crazy thing about that was that brickwork was bulging so far out. It was actually kind of amazing because for a couple feet it bulged, and it had this, I don't know how far out from the building it came, at least a whole course of brick. And there was not one discernible crack in the mortar at all. It's like it would push in the wintertime over years, and then it would heal with water. So I looked and I could not find a crack in the brickwork at all. And I know that it was pushing more and more every year. So I guess that's more proof that the lime mortar does heal, as it goes, as it gets water, it does heal. So now what I'm actually down here to do is I'm going to drive out back, and I'm going to try to get an angle of the opposite side of this tower, and you'll see it when we get there. They want me to look at that side. I guess it's got some big holes in it too, and some trees growing out of it, so they want a price for next year for that. And I'm not really crazy about doing it, but it's one of those things where you've done so much work for a certain place over the years. I don't really do this type of work anymore. I really just focus on chimneys and stuff, but I do end up doing work here still because it's right in my hometown, and I've done all their work for years. So you kind of just keep coming back. So I'll go around back and we'll take a look and see if we can get a better angle at this project. Boy, it's a little tricky. There's a roof here, and then I'm on this roof down here, and it's just I gotta set scaffolding up in this corner here, and I can't even really see what's going on because those trees are growing out of the building. And this is the same thing as what was on the other side. When I redid that other side, there was trees growing out of it just like this. And I can only imagine that brickwork is so damaged up there, but how do you know? I can't see it. Maybe I come back in the fall and look at it or something, because this will be for a next year project anyway, but I come and look at it after the leaves are gone so I can have a better idea. It's hard to give a price on something when you have no idea what's really going on. I suppose I could go up on that roof and just kind of hang over the edge and take a peek, maybe I could do that. I guess they got a couple shingles up there they want me to repair anyway, so maybe I'll do that. I'll get up there and hang over the edge and rip some of that stuff off and take a look. But yeah, it's a pretty cool old building. They don't take the best care of it, but That's the old roof right there that it was all rotted out. I had to put my scaffolding on it, and when I walked on that roof to put my scaffolding on it, you know, my foot went right through the roof. So we had to re-support the hole underneath just to put scaffolding on it. But yeah, I actually really like this building. I think they did a really good job. I really like the drop corbels at the top. I like the dental work. It's just, it's really decorative. They did a nice job with it. The brickwork's pretty decent. The brick's not the straightest, flattest brick to work with, but actually the work that they did with it, I think is pretty good. So yeah, this is one of a few mill buildings around. So this is the one in my town, but the next town over, they have a couple of mill buildings over there that I'd like to take a look at sometimes with you guys. Those ones were built in the mid 1850s, so a little earlier, and some really cool work. So I used to do a lot of stone masonry and you know, stone walls and whatever. And the guys that I would work with, we would all joke, and especially certain companies I work with, we'd joke and we'd be like, you know, that's a 20-mile-an-hour wall, or that's a 30-mile-an-hour wall. And if it was really bad, if someone had done some really poor work, we would say, oh, that's a 50-mile-an-hour wall, or 60, right? So we're about to do the test on this brick wall here. We're going to see how it looks. You don't usually do it with the brick wall, but I'll be driving by this job that I just finished yesterday, and you know, we'll have a look and see what it looks like. Maybe I'll drop it down to like 25, 30, and we'll just see how it blends in. I mean, it's right on the road, so might as well have a little fun. Okay, let's drop it down. Let's get in there about 30. A little bit less. Oh, damn. Boy, that actually looked actually pretty decent. Looked like it blended right in. That's the mill building from the, oh, I see the shingles they want me to look at that are falling off. Yeah, so that building, like I do all kind of stuff with that building over the years, and one of the things is the shingles. So the last guy that roofed it, there's 4 layers of shingles on that roof. 4 layers, I'm not even kidding. So the last guy that roofed it, you know, it wasn't even his fault. It was the people that own the building. They're just kind of, they never want to do everything complete or do it right, it seems. So they didn't want to strip the roof. So he overlaid that whole roof. And the nails don't go through all the layers of shingles. Well, they do, but the tips of the nails, I think I measured the nails at 1 5/8, and the tip just barely starts going into the wood. So yeah, eventually, you know, what happens is that the shingles just blow off here and there, and I end up going up and fixing a little section, and it's too bad because, you know, they had the hydraulic stage and set up on one side of the roof, and they really could have done it easy and done it right, where, you know, because the hydraulic masonry staging was the Hydromobile stuff, the P series, they had it set up on that one side, and they could have lifted a whole bunk of plywood at a time or more with all their shingles on it, and they could have re-plywooded the whole roof after they stripped it, and but they didn't want to pay for it, so now they, you know, have to pay to have shingles replaced all the time, and that roof is actually probably almost junk already because it's over 4 layers of shingles, and not to mention all that added weight on that roof too, like, so yeah. Anyhow, so I'll have to stop by later today and see if I can get on the roof and check out what shingles need to be replaced. Well, I found myself up here. Just taking a look at this this tree here. I'm right up to the corner here, and I'm just gonna lean over, start cutting some of this stuff out of here, and then hopefully I can get a better idea of what kind of holes in the side of the building. But I'm actually looking at some of this original brickwork and the mortar up here. And it all seems to be in pretty good shape. And there's a couple pockets that are a little deeper here, but the brickwork's pretty good here. I think part of the problem with this section here is they've got no kick out flashing on there. And I think if the flashing just kind of kicked out away from the building, there'd be a lot less water coming down the side doing all that damage. So yeah, here we go. I'm gonna lean over, start cutting some of that stuff, and I'm really hoping that there's not like some massive bee's nest or something behind there, because you know, I've got no refuge up here. I've just got my rope and I've got that hatch. Maybe I can make it up to the hatch and shut it, but I'm gonna get all stung up if there's a bee's nest in there. We'll see. Well, there are bricks falling out. I was cutting those trees and one of the brick just went straight off. I didn't even get to see it, but I heard it hit down there. And I guess it's a good thing they get all those pavers lined up against like protecting the roof, because it hit one of those pretty hard. I was able to lay on my stomach and just kind of cut this stuff off, but it's still kind of holding on there. And I'm really just going to use my video here to see, to lean over and see what I can, what I'm going to need to fix here. Wow. Actually, this whole side is pushed right out. I bet there's probably 15 or 20 feet worth of brickwork to fix off this corner here. Look at it just kind of falling apart, and the wall's kind of pushed out a little bit where this root system is. So it all starts from this kickout flat where there should be kickout flashing, and it all starts here and kind of gets bad right down there a bit. It's just the corner here. I wish I could cut the rest of that crap off, so I could actually see, but I can't reach down that far. I suppose if I had my pole saw, I could do it with a pole saw and get the rest of it off, but I know it doesn't look good, so well, at least I'll have a rough idea on how to price out this job. A little better idea than I would have if that bush was in the way. So all right, well, that's enough of that, and now I'm gonna go run around the rest of the roof up here and find these missing shingles where it's been leaking and see what we can do about those. Well, I'm definitely finding some shingles missing. On the other side of that peak I found some. You can see what I was talking about that gray mortar up there. It does stand out a bit. It's not so bad though. There's a lot of pointing and stuff that could be done around this building. And you see sections like this here. Just looking at this section here. And that stuff's about to fall out. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, I mean, that's bad, but how do you stage that? I mean, that's some pretty intricate scaffolding to come off the roof here and cantilever out. I don't think it's scaffolding from the ground, and then also I can't just get a regular lift for that either, because the electrical below, there's a whole setup of electrical stuff coming into this building, and there's no way to get the lift over to this side. So that would have to be some sort of scaffolding off the roof, like cantilevered out enough to do that. Yeah, it's pretty intricate. I'm not here to even look at that, but obviously that's a bad spot. Some more shingles missing here. Yeah, I gotta walk the rest of this roof now and see what it looks like. I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm so thankful that there's nothing in that nest. It's empty now. And then like my face is right here. Oh my God, zoom the other way. And I'm like, wow, okay. Good thing it's a little cooler today. These guys are just sitting here on guard. My face is right here. I could have put my hand on them. And it's like sprinkling a little bit, so they're not terribly active today. So we got this power station set up right there. It's right in the way, like I can't get a lift. Especially not with those lines coming off the front. All those lines coming off. And then the work is actually right above here. So the edge is here. I just don't, I mean, that scaffolding setup kind of sucks. It almost have to be mounted into the brickwork or use that window somehow. Probably use that window to cantilever something out. Some pretty intense stuff.